Welcome to a lecture series on public policies and welfare schemes. Today, let us discuss about one of the flagship program of Government of India, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. In 2015, the Indian government introduced the Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao scheme to address the concerns of gender discrimination and women empowerment in the country. So, from examination point of view, this first point is very important. This scheme was introduced in 2015, and mainly this scheme was introduced to address the concerns of gender discrimination and women empowerment in the country. And the name Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao translates to save the girl child, educate the girl child. This was the main slogan of this scheme, that is, save the girl child and educate the girl child. The scheme aims to educate citizens against gender bias and improve efficacy of welfare services for girls. It was launched with an initial funding of 100 crores. Then what is the need for Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao Yojana? The scheme was launched after the national census results for 2011 revealed detraction in key gender metrics. They are child sex ratio and sex ratio at birth. Child sex ratio is defined as the number of girls per 1000 boys aged between 0 to 6 years. This ratio showcased a steady decline from 945 in 1999 to 927 in 2001. That means the child sex ratio has drastically declined from 945 to 927 in 2001, which declined further to 918 in 2011. So that means consistently there was a declining trend in child sex ratio from 945 in 1999 to 918 in 2011. So detailed evaluation of the decline showed that sex ratio at birth was the principal factor. Dip in this ratio is a significant indicator of gender discrimination and women disempowerment, reflecting both pre-birth discrimination through gender biased sex selective abortion, post birth discrimination by neglecting health, nutrition, and educational needs of the girl child. Research concluded that the strong socio-cultural and religious preference for boys was the root cause of the problem, and this provided impetus for launch of the Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao initiative. Now let us see the objectives of this scheme. The Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao aims to achieve the following goals. So these are the most important objectives of this scheme. One is improve the child sex ratio, ensure gender equality and women empowerment, prevent gender biased sex selective elimination, ensure survival and protection of the girl child, encourage education and participation of the girl child. So these are the 5 important objectives of this scheme. So from examination point of view, student is supposed to focus on these 5 important objectives of the scheme, that is the Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao. Overall, these can be classified into 2 key categories: quantitative and qualitative. The quantitative objective is true. The quantitative objective is to address decline in child sex ratio in the country, and the qualitative objective is to inculcate awareness and change negative mindsets regarding the female children. So that means there is a necessity of changing the attitude of the parents, changing the negative mindset of the parents with regard to the female children. Then now let us see what are the details of the scheme. The scheme is divided into three components. Number one, advocacy campaigns, and these advocacy campaigns were launched to address the issue of declining child sex ratio and sex ratio at birth. Then second, multi-sectoral interventions. These multi-sectoral interventions were planned and are being implemented in gender critical districts across the country. Then third component is a financial incentive linked scheme. This a financial incentive linked scheme was introduced by the government of India, namely Sukanya Samruddhi scheme. This is also known as Sukanya Samruddhi Yojana. So this scheme was launched to encourage parents to build a fund for female children. Now let us briefly analyze these three components of the scheme. First one, advocacy and media campaign. National awareness campaigns form the foundation of Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao scheme. It involves multifaceted media approach to educate parents and destigmatize the birth of female children. So this is very important point. It involves multifaceted media approach to educate parents and destigmatize the birth of female children. The advocacy campaigns focus on disseminating information regarding the declining child sex ratio and sex ratio at birth to ensure that girls are born, nurtured, and educated without discrimination. So that means in order to reduce to stop the declining trend in child sex ratio and sex ratio at birth, there is a need of the girls. So therefore, we have to ensure that girls are born, nurtured, and educated without discrimination. The goal is to develop a culture of raising empowered women in the country. Then second component is about intervention in gender critical districts. Programs and interventions designed to incentivize improvements in the child sex ratio and sex ratio at birth are being implemented in the shortlisted gender critical districts. The scheme outlines measurable outcomes and indicators to monitor progress in these 640 districts, which are identified as the gender critical districts. The performance targets are as follows. Improve sex ratio at birth in select gender critical districts by 2 points per year. Then reduce gender differentials in the under 5 child mortality rate metric by 1.5 points per year. Then another point is provide functional toilets for girls in every school in select districts. Increase first trimester antenatal care registration by 1% per year. Improve nutritional status by reducing the number of underweight and anemic girls, especially under 5 years of age. Then one of the most important scheme related to the Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao, that is Sukanya Samruddhi Yojana scheme. Sukanya Samruddhi Yojana is a small deposit saving scheme targeted at parents of girl children. This is one important point. Sukanya Samruddhi Yojana is a small deposit saving scheme targeted at parents of girl children. The scheme provides parents with income tax rebate benefits and an attractive interest rate of 7.6% on the deposits. It offers parents the option to open savings account per girl child under the age of 10 years and allows parents to make deposits in the account for a period of 15 years. So that means parents can take a savings bank account per girl child, maybe at the age of 10 years, and they have to deposit an amount till it is for 15 years. So that means the girls can commence account operations at the age of 10 years and have the option of making withdrawals at the age of 18. So the goal of this scheme is to challenge the burden mindset of parents and offer financial security to female children. This is again very important point. The goal of this scheme is to challenge the burden mindset of parents and offer financial security to female children. So, as far as this scheme is concerned, uh, you are supposed to focus on these points. Number one, it is a small saving, uh, a small deposit saving scheme, and under this scheme, the parents are provided income tax rebate benefits, and on the deposits, the interest rate of 7.6% is paid. And under this scheme, the account has to be opened per one girl child, those who are under the age of 10 years, and allows parents to make deposits in the account for a period of 15 years. For 15 years, they can deposit money in the name of a girl child, and this amount can be withdrawn once the child attained the age of 18 years. And the goal of this scheme is to challenge the burden mindset of parents and offer financial security to female children. So these points are very important with regard to the Sukanya Samruddhi Yojana scheme. Now, who are involved in the implementation of this scheme? The Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao scheme benefits the different categories of people, and different categories of people are involved in this. So there are three segments in the implementation of this scheme. One is the primary segment. Under primary segment, the young and newly married couples, pregnant and lactating mothers and parents are covered. Then under secondary segment, youth, adolescents, that is both girls and boys, in-laws, medical doctors, practitioners, private hospitals, nursing homes, and diagnostic centers. These categories of people are covered under secondary segment. Tertiary segment, officials, Panchayati Raj institutions, frontline workers, women self-help groups, religious leaders, voluntary organizations, media, medical associations, industry associations, and the people at large. All these categories of people are involved in the implementation of this scheme. So, by involving uh, these categories of people, all these categories of people, this scheme will be implemented effectively. Then, what are the key developments of this scheme? The revised class 7 of NCERT textbooks, that is the class 7th textbook that is published by National Council of Educational Research and Training, highlight the Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao initiative to promote awareness about gender equality and empower the girl child as part of India's social development narrative. This is one of the key developments. On January 22nd, 2025, the Ministry of Women and Child Development celebrated the 10th anniversary of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao scheme, marking a decade of relentless efforts to protect, educate, and empower the girl child in India. This milestone aligns with India's vision of a Viksit Bharat 2047 and global shift from women's development to women-led development. Now, at global level, there is a popular slogan called women's development to women-led development. So that means women need to take a lead in the process of development, both at national level and global level. Then the National Sex Ratio at Birth Index has shown an upward trend from 918 in the financial year 2015 to 930 in the financial year 2024, an improvement of 12 points in 10 years. So that means now there is an improvement in both sex ratio at birth as well as the child sex ratio. The national gross enrollment ratio of girls in secondary schools improved from 75.51% in financial year 2015 to 78% in financial year 2024. Then institutional deliveries rose from 61% in financial year 2015 to over 97.3% by financial year 2024. So this is uh, the greatest achievement with regard to protecting a girl child, and especially by implementing these schemes like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, then Janani Suraksha Yojana, Sukanya Samruddhi Yojana. All these schemes have helped and motivated uh, the women to go for institutional deliveries. And because of the increasing number of institutional deliveries, maternal mortality rate and infant mortality rate have also reduced when compared to the past. So, these institutional deliveries, uh, which rose from 61% to 97%, denotes that ensuring safer childbirths for mothers and infants in many regions, which has been essential in reducing maternal and infant mortality rates. In the North Gujarat region, the Department of Posts has established 487 villages as complete Sukanya Samruddhi Grams, alongside opening of 4,50,000 Sukanya Samruddhi accounts for daughters in post offices. This is one of the important achievement that is in the North Gujarat region. In 487 villages, they have opened around 4 lakhs 50,000 Sukanya Samruddhi accounts for daughters in post offices. Then 422 districts out of 640 districts covered under Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao have shown improvement in sex ratio at birth from financial year 2015 to financial year 2019. Proportion of schools with separate functional toilets for girls rose from 92.1% in financial year 2015 to 97.4% in financial year 2023. The first trimester ANC registration rate increased from 61% in financial year 2015, that is 2015, to 71% in financial year 2020. Under this scheme, several initiatives have been undertaken by districts to build consciousness among target groups and other stakeholders. So, keeping these developments in view, we can conclude that in the first 9 years of implementation, the Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao scheme has been successful in improving key performance metrics outlined in its target objectives. To further boost success of the program, the government plans to carry out a detailed district level survey to evaluate progress and to detect hurdles to implementation. The survey will be conducted by an independent agency in collaboration with Niti Aayog. The primary goal of this survey is to find ways to strengthen execution of the scheme in low performing states. So, these are the important points related to a scheme, namely Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao. So, from the examination point of view, the student is supposed to present uh, all these points, and these points will be helpful for the student for both the objective type of questions as well as the descriptive type of questions, both for UPSC civil services examination as well as the state services examinations. Thank you.